What is it like being a Jamaican in Indonesia? Hi, I'm Xavier Murphy, the founder of Jamaicans.com. And today in Jamaicans to the World, I talk to Karl Simpson, a Jamaican living in Indonesia. Welcome, Karl. How are you?
I'm doing good, man. Thanks for having me and giving me this opportunity to give you my views.
Which part of Jamaica are you from, Karl?
Well, I was born in St. Andrew, born just up the road from King's House, for those who know Hope Road and Lady Musgrove Road intersection. Spent my formative years all in St. Andrew, going to school at St. George's College,
Oh man.
going to cast
Oh
after
man.
that. Yeah?
I thought I was hoping you would say, Hope Road and whatever. I thought you were gonna say, Jamaica College, but that's fine. I'm wearing light blue. I'm wearing light blue today, so.
Yeah. I contributed my older brother. He's a JCO boy. I made a contribution to the blues. Yes, I grew up in St. Andrew, but a lot of people thinks about Kingstonians as people who have never lived in Kingston at all. And as I said, that I went to school at St. George's College in a high school level, later to cast, and my working life, I then ventured into Kingston to work with a branch of the Jamaica local government, the Water Commission, the KSAC folks, and was fortunate to be selected as one of two candidates when local government decided to computerize Kingston and St. Andrew Corporation and bring computers into local government. Well, the first interesting because I never knew anything about computing. We were selected based on an aptitude provided by IBM. And as I said, and I'll give him mention here, my friend and I, Jimmy, a Woodmarian, by the way, not a Georgian, were selected as two candidates to be taught what was necessary to be effective in computing. And, resulting in us traveling to Trinidad and to the UK, working with ICL Computers, which was the provider of the computer services. And the British government provided technology support in people who came down and managed the unit. And that was a very good experience for me because it gave me my foundation in computing.
That sounds like you were a pioneer because maybe it was it punch cards or was it discs, big discs and all of that?
It was very interesting because what had happened is that people like the Water Commission and KCC were using national NCR equipment to do cash processing and water billing and all those sort of things. And in those days, the KCC had a tabulator, one of these plug-in stuff. And, we had to be able to process existing data. So some innovations from the point of NCR, for instance, we had paper tape in addition to punch cards on our computer. For reference, the machine we were working on had the equivalent storage in it that today you couldn't put one 45 record. It would be too big for the whole computer.
Our phones are probably are probably 1,000 times, maybe even more than that, powerful than those machines.
More powerful than that computer. The bottom line was, we were fortunate to get, and I was fortunate to get, substantial exposure to computing, and eventually I worked with that organization until the maturity of the projects. And at the time, I stated to take a senior role in the new organization when the British government left, and for whatever reasons, seniority in the then civil service did not allow that to happen. So I ran for greener pastures, all right, and ended up at Alcan in Kirkvine, Alcan, bauxite, and I went into Alcan, and apparently did enough to be, to manage a section of that computing business for a number of years, spent a long time with that
Wow.
organization.
Wow, true pioneer. True Sakal, tell us your journey because it sounds like you have, again, pioneer in computing. You traveled to Trinidad, you traveled to a couple places, but now Indonesia. How did you get to Indonesia? And I think there's, you and I spoke a little, there's a backstory with a couple other spots, but you tell the story.
Well, it's a problem with the heartless, because I've traveled many places before getting to Indonesia, but I've always had this love, and two of the places I've targeted that I wanted to go all my life. One was the island of Borneo, and the other one was New Guinea. These are nature. These are places just rich with natural resources. With Borneo is one of the islands.
And where is
New
it?
Guinea, Borneo is in the Southeast Asia. It is south it is south of what is now Malaysia and Singapore, or a little southeast of where Malaysia and Singapore is. And there's something special about Borneo and Indonesia, because Borneo is a three-nation island. Because on Borneo, a part of Borneo is part of Indonesia. A part of Borneo is, you ever heard about Brunei, with Sultan of Brunei? Brunei is on the island of Borneo. And part of Malaysia is on Borneo. The Indonesian part of Borneo, they call Kalimantan, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's part of the state of Indonesia. Similarly, New Guinea, which is the other island that I have an interest in this area, is part Indonesia. You have part of Indonesia now is called West Papua and Papua, which is the western part of the island of New Guinea. The eastern part of New Guinea is now known as Papua, which is an Australian, I would call it protectorate, but it's under Australian control. So it's a uniqueness about this island that, and the quality and quantity of I don't want to call it diversity, of difference, that it has in terms of unique wildlife and rich in cultural and other natural resources. In Papua, for instance, Papua is still not developed. It's the second largest island in the physical island in the world. They are in Greenland, and it's got probably just a couple of million people know it's part of Indonesia, So it has a large rainforest that's probably third largest in the world behind the Amazon and the Congo, the Central Africa. And, it's the home of some of animals and plant and other things that other animal life or plant life. That's nowhere else. They're unique, occurrences there.
So that's what drew you to Indonesia.
Initially, that was my interest. I've had this interest from a youngster, but then later in life, about the last 2010 or so, I had an acquaintance with this young lady in Indonesia. You're going, and at the time when I met her, I was just finishing up a contract. I was working post all of my other jobs with the government of the United States as a consultant contractor in one of their major departments. I can say it's the Department of the Treasury, specifically the IRS. I was a subject matter expert in that area for a number of years working with them. Okay. And I decided I'm going to forego all of that and journey to Indonesia. Initially, I'm saying I'm going to go visit and see what goes on there. Well, after consulting with this lady for a number of years, or 2 years or more, I decided to make the trip. And I got here. I had to go through all the visa requirements. You can land in Indonesia on an American passport as a, visa on arrival. But after 3 months, you can get a 3-month extension. But after that, you have to leave the country. You can come back, but you have to go away and come back. And I kept up going away and coming back for just 6 months. And I say, what? We finally tie up some knots and thing, and we decided to make it a career. So, but I kept going back and forth for a little while. And then in about 2016, I was on one of my trips, and I decided it's time she know the United States. So we made a trip over, and unfortunately, I had some tragedies at that time because my dad passed year and my brother passed that year, and things went on, and I kept going back and forth for other reasons. Vacation, I tried 2017, 18. During that time, again, tragedies struck my life because I lost my daughter in a car accident. But after that, I came here, and since 2018, I've not left Indonesia. For one, the pandemic set in, so we can travel, but traveling is a barrier. If we travel, and especially now, there are certain controls in place which are actually very, very good for places like Indonesia, because COVID was here for a while and rampant. Today, I can tell you that in my little area that I live, which is a population of around 21,000, we had 0 COVID cases in the last couple of days at all.
Amazing.
Yeah. So,
amazing.
But as I said, I was drawn to Indonesia initially by what I wanted to see in the world, but ended up being here for something much better than that. So, I still have not visited these islands, even though I'm here yet, and I plan to go. And in the coming years, I will make that trip.
What is better?
About?
You said I stayed for something better. I think.
Yes. For enjoying what Indonesia brings and the company I'm in. I mean, I've been welcomed here as part of this family of my partner in Indonesia. Been welcome.
Right.
I will probably go down this road, but I will give you a snip. Indonesia is different, interesting, and to put it bluntly, a comfortable place to be at this time, especially with the pandemic going on.
Okay. So tell us about the people, because you say you're comfortable. So tell us about the people in Indonesia.
Well, I'm limited because I'm language ignorant. I'm here, and sometimes you feel like the proverbial fish out of water, because the conversation is going on, you don't know what the heck's going on because you don't understand the language. But I'm able to survive because my wife, she speaks English, right? So I've used that as an excuse to get out of any trap I find myself in, But the people of Indonesia are accommodating. They're friendly. They're curious, because I'm like 6 feet 3 inches tall, and the average Indonesian probably is 5'7". And there are problems with that for me as an individual, because I have to be very careful going through hallways and doorways. My head pins, I hit that because they're lower. So, but the people of Indonesia have accepted me, as far as I know, both for family and friends of the house. And I'm an Indonesian,
So when people find out that you're Jamaican, what is the typical response for the folks that speak English and realize that?
Well, as I said, I'm located in Bandung, Bandung is it's not the capital. It's a fairly large city, but the people I associate with if they ask me anything, the first thing when I say Jamaican, they say Bob Marley. So that's probably, I mean, the general first response to be,
Okay.
or the other one will say Usain Bolt. But
Okay.
that's not to say they're not aware, of what's going on, because with music as it is today and accessible, I have been into a lot of establishments, and the background music is Jamaican and or other music that you would not think are commonplace here. I
Oh,
really
nice.
hear Indonesian music as the background in most of these places. And there are
Nice.
dedicated radio stations that are in English. So it's a very
Mm,
accommodating culture, very accommodating people.
good.
Both
Good.
for social activity and even religious that people are misled about. You know,
Okay.
you
Let me
come to
ask you
Indonesia,
this question.
huh?
Have you encountered any customs that you found were interesting in Indonesia?
Well, as I say, I'm speaking from being a Bandung resident here. Um, Customs, I would
And let
say,
me help out. Let me help out here, maybe, and maybe you have one. Like, for example, I've heard in previous interviews where folks may say the wedding custom is like this, or you bring a gift for this, so and so those examples may help.
oh yeah. Well, in terms of customs, as if you one thing Indonesians will do is feed you, right? You will never go to an Indonesian's home and not, without even question, they will start to present food or drink or snacks on the table. It's automatic, you know. The custom, I would say, probably more than any other, is probably eating. Everywhere you go, if you're in a store, if you're on the sidewalk, if you're in the park, there's an Indonesian providing food service, and Indonesians sitting right there eating their food, right? And there's eating everywhere. You know what I mean? You cannot
Right.
go anywhere and food doesn't. You're in a department store, and in the department store is a food provider in the hallway providing food. So, which is good because, you know, you tell you Indonesians can't go hungry, because they eat, So
what what
it's
would
a
you
very,
recommend?
no?
What would you recommend as a food that if I travel to Indonesia, I must try that food?
Ah, well, as I said, I like a thing called matabak, right? And matabak is like you have it's not it's meat and some seasoned vegetable like wrapped in a like a dough form and fried, right? Fried food is a big deal here, and
Mm.
thing that I like. It's almost like you put a fritters inside a covering. You know what I mean? So but that's one of the things I like. When I came here, the first thing I had to eat in Indonesia was a thing called batagor, and that's another variety of. It's not batagor is more boiled than fried, but it is like a fish extract. I don't know the full constituent of the thing, so but it tastes good. But there are so many diverse opportunities of food. Try everything. Some you may not like, but I try most everything that I'm presented with. Some of them I don't know what the heck it is.
So let me
So,
ask you this. What is the most unusual thing that you believe you have tried?
oh my God, they have a thing. They have they have a bean they here. I call it the stinky bean. I think the name is Jenkol or something like that. And what
Bad
it
like
is,
stinking too? Bad like stinking too?
no, No. This thing looks, I mean, like the old Jamaican guango that you see out there, like a leaf. It's like a legume, you know,
Okay.
and it's a pod, and they take out this pod. It bears on a tree, look like the old the Ponciana tree, and it bears a long pod, multiple seeds, and they somehow find this palatable. I don't, you know, but you know, it's just diversity. And
Okay.
there are things that I've eaten, like I've eaten cooked jackfruit, young jackfruit. Don't know if you know that as a delicacy, and it's a good tasting meal. They cook, you know, the banana shoot. We chop off the bunch of the banana at the bottom.
Yes.
They actually cook the young bananas under that purple. They actually make a delicacy out of that.
And how
Yeah.
it is? How it is?
It tastes like a vegetable, believe it or not. You know,
Okay.
it's not something you would eat again. You know, so but it is
What?
very interesting. You know, the types of food that they have out there. That you know, they try everything. Everything
Wow.
can go in the pot. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Fruits. You have all the fruits there, I'm sure. The fruits you get from Jamaica. You mentioned jackfruit, so you're getting probably your mangoes and everything in between.
Indonesia is a fruit paradise. The only fruits I have not seen here from Jamaica are I've not my ackee, which is something I miss from Jamaica. It's not here. I don't know if it's here, but I've not seen it.
Okay.
There's no ackee. I've not seen Guinea, and
Mm,
there's a couple of other. I'm trying to think what else in Jamaica. That's you know, but pretty much everything else from Jamaica is
is
here
there?
and 10 times more
Is
because
there?
yeah,
Go ahead.
there are so many that I haven't seen East Indian and St. Julian mangoes here, but every other mango you can think of and more, you know, is here. You know,
So
Indonesia is rich in fruits.
good, good. Is there a Jamaican restaurant that you have encountered in your travels in Indonesia?
Well, I've seen a place that said this with a Jamaican flag up there, and we went in there one day to see if we could find something Jamaican in there. And unfortunately, they weren't serving that day, but they were preparing for a concert. They were going to have not a concert. They were going to have a group get together, a Bob Marley fan club. They were going to have in the restaurant, you know. But I have not gone into any Jamaican restaurants here or seen any. I understand from my friend, Michael, that there are Jamaican restaurants in Bali. You know,
Okay.
we're not yet, but plan to go. But I
Okay.
understand there are restaurants, and there may be Jamaican restaurants in Jakarta that I have not encountered, but I have not
Okay.
seen it.
All right. Cost of living, what is it like?
Oh my God, affordable. Let's put it that blunt, easy word. You know, for a person coming from the United States, it's a no comparison situation. You know, as I said, recognizing that local cost of living feelings are different from a foreigner coming in, you know,
Right.
and living in Indonesia.
Right.
So, but if you're coming in to Indonesia as you know, you are comfortable in terms of you know of what you're going to be getting value for money. You know,
On,
it's
on average, what would you say then would be the cost of an average dinner?
well, it
In
depends on where thing too. You know, you can buy the same dinner for 3-4 times the price if you go to the wrong place. You know
right.
what I mean? But what I want to say without going into a physical number is that no matter how extravagant you go here, you're probably less than half price of what you pay over there, for sure. No matter how extravagant you do. Yeah, yeah,
That's good.
yeah.
You
But
know?
it's very comfortable to know that you know you can make everything go a little further here, and you know, and the food is good or just just as good as anything you're gonna get there. And sometimes you know it's just unbelievable. If you go to the right place, you can spend a quarter of what you would spend in the US and eat twice as much. You know.
And what would you say was your biggest adjustment? I know you went back and forth for a little bit, but what was the biggest adjustment moving there?
Can't talk the language even now. You know, and I find myself in many instances being the only one in a group setting that have no idea what the heck is going on. You know, because you have to realize that, you know, there's little you can do sometimes about that. So you have to understand that you are a unit in those situations. You know, so you have to adjust and understand that it's not anything targeting you,
Right.
but it's circumstance you find yourself in. And a big adjustment I had to make was, as I said, just walking around, recognizing that if you're careless, you can hurt yourself, because I strike my head on the street walking underneath a front canopy for a sidewalk vendor, because it's low. And looking, I will hit my head in it.
Right.
You know, I once went into a store and I went into the basement of the store, the basement department, and I hit my head on one of the pipes that were in the overhead on the roof of the basement. So that you have to adjust and be conscious of where you are. You know,
It
you have to
sounds
be
like
conscious.
your height. Your biggest adjustment is conscious of your height.
I have to be aware that, look, carefully you hurt yourself. You know, that's, it's beautiful. Yeah.
What is the one thing you'd say you love to do there?
Well, right now, one of my passion is we go walking and walking, not just walking, but I like to walk remote. My brother said to me that I'm going into the jungle. That's what he said, and the place has wild animal. What the heck are you doing? But we walk a lot, you know, and I walk into, you know, the interior. I want to see, you know, like I said, one of my love is nature, and we walk in the jungle, you know, and to talk about the wildlife aspect of it.
That's where I was going next. I was going to ask you about if you encountered any wildlife, and are there tigers? Are there you know, what wildlife?
Well, all the above. We have all of them. But I was gonna tell you, we were walking in a place, you know, they call it the small jungle here in Indonesia, and we were walking down this path, and they had a package in her hand, a bag with some whatever it is was in it. I don't even remember what was in it. And a monkey run out and grabbed the bag and run out, right? Out her hand, right? So that was one encounter we had. And then once we were walking again, and we think it was a wild boar that ran across the road. We didn't get a good look of everything on him, but another time we were in a place, we were going up to a very nice mountain area. Craton is the name of the place. And while we were going up there, this troop of monkeys on the side on the road, and we were walking by, and we wanted to take some pictures of them. And once we started getting close, they started behaving in some erratic way. So we decided it was not a good idea to be taking the pictures of them right there. But it is not scary as people think in my view. And we enjoy the walk. You know, we have walked extensively sometimes. The longest trek we took was about 19-kilometer walk. You know, which is, I mean, you know, that's about what close to, if you take off 60% of that, really is about 11 miles.
Right.
You know.
That's some good walking there.
Oh yeah. We usually do this, you know, But Indonesia is exciting. I've done some crazy things. I got carried over talking a little back on food. When I came here, the first thing I noticed was there was a breadfruit tree right outside our gate where we live. I mean, if I look out my window, I can look at the breadfruit tree. And this breadfruit tree always has some very large breadfruits on there. And I kept saying to myself, I wonder what these breadfruits. And I was threatening to go pick the breadfruits over there, but of course, I was going to be an embarrassment, so I didn't do it. And then a couple of weeks went on, and I was expressing desire for these breadfruit. And finally, one of the young men in the area picked 3 of the breadfruits and gave it to us. And let me tell you, it's the best yellow hard breadfruit I've ever eaten. So what I did with it is I roasted and fried the breadfruit, which was something new because in Indonesia they don't do that.
Right.
And it's now become a staple in my household, right? And it's requested, it's requested. And breadfruit here is a sidewalk tree, it grows wild on the sidewalk, right?
Wow.
So, like we would line our road with some decorative trees. Some roads here are breadfruit, and they bear in abundance, and they fall off a lot of them on the road.
And they don't use it for anything?
Yes, people use it, but not to the extent that you would think that they would pick it off these beautiful trees. Yeah, so that is a new experience too. That there are so many fruits on the road, and to a degree too, the honesty of people, because mangoes. We have walked in places where mangoes are hanging over the road, large, huge man, and there's no wholesale reaping of the mangoes off the roadside by people here. I mean, it's a very humbling feeling when you come here and find out, people are this friendly,
right,
secure. You're secure because it's like they protect you. They're curious, but you feel comfortable. You're not threatened. You know what I mean?
Right,
and
right.
It's it's a very comforting feeling.
So I know that Indonesia is you had mentioned this island that's a part of Indonesia or a piece of it, and there's all of that. So there's so much to discover. How many of the parts, I guess, of Indonesia have you discovered? Because I believe it's, from what I can see on a map, it's about 5, maybe 6 big pieces, and there's some other smaller things out there.
There are 6 big pieces that are identifiable here, because Indonesia is a huge nation. It runs from east to west. It starts over almost near to India and Ceylon in Sumatra. And it runs from there, from what is Aceh. Aceh, if you recall, was the place where the big tsunami killed like 200-something thousand people. That's Indonesia. That's where that happened. Some years ago, 2000, I think it was 2004, Christmas Eve, when the Indonesian tsunami, 124,000 people or something like that in Aceh. And it starts, ends over in Papua, in Papua. That is 5,200 kilometers and over 3,000 miles.
Wow.
West. And then you have northern Indonesia, runs south, is another 1,100 miles, about 1,700 kilometers, right? So it's a huge area, right? And within that huge area, you have 17,000 islands that form Indonesia. Yeah, you heard me, 17,000, not 1,700, 17,000.
Wow.
The six big pieces you have is the Sumatra, Java, on which we are living. You have Sulawesi, then you have Kalimantan, which is part of Borneo, and then you have West Papua and Papua, right? And that's Indonesia. You know what I mean?
Wow. And how many have you traveled to?
I have not left the island of Java yet because
Okay.
Java has so much to explore. What
Okay.
Indonesia, what Indonesia provided me doing in travel is earlier I told you that when I initially came here, I had to go through a visa process of going and coming, going and coming. I took advantage of that. You have to leave Indonesia. They say you have to go back home, right? So I took the opportunity, and when I had to leave, I go to Malaysia, right? So as to leave
Mm.
Indonesia. So only an hour and a half flight, and it's affordable, right? So I go to Malaysia to break the Indonesian presence, or I go to Singapore to break the Indonesian presence. I did not have to travel all the way from home come to go because I'm right here in the area.
Right.
So I've
Right.
been fortunate that in all of these travels, I've known since coming to Indonesia and traveling back and forth, I've been able to get to Japan, I've been able to get to Korea, right? I've been able to get I've traveled, of course, through the United Arab Emirates a lot, right? I mean, so it expanded my travel, you know.
So
Yeah.
so at some point we're going to have to come back and talk to you when you have traveled those 17,000
So
little islands.
it was a maths, and you take 17,000 and divide it by 365, you will realize it's a couple of hundred years at
I
one
know.
day. It can't
I know.
happen.
So
Yeah, but
on the
yeah.
island, on the location you're at, or the island, I guess I would say, if there was one place you would recommend that someone visiting go to, or an event that you'd say, this is an event that happens once a year. It's so beautiful. Go to this, or anything, location, event. What would that be?
I don't think it's there's so many things to see here that are interesting. I think I would prejudice the person and probably deprive them of seeing something they really found when they get here and find out. Because, for instance, how many people know that Indonesia has the largest Buddhist temple in the world? It's an
Mm.
Islamic, but they're in Central Java, and it's on my Facebook as a cover. It's the largest temple, Buddhist temple. How many people know that Bali is largely a Buddhist territory in an
Mm.
Islamic country? How, there Indonesia is on the ring of fire. How many people know there are 150 active volcanoes in Indonesia? And you can
Oh,
visit and go to the craters of many of them right now. As a matter of fact, we were at one of the craters that erupted in the last year, just a year or two ago. We were physically at the top of that crater, and at his son here, the last crater or eruption 2 3 weeks ago, he actually hiked up to that crater last year, right? So there are so many exciting things you can see here. I wouldn't prejudice your view and say go see this. It's so rich.
see it all.
You,
See it
you
all. You
can't.
say, go
Yeah,
see it all.
succeed, but you'll have fun doing it. So there's so much. It's a paradise for adventure. It's a paradise for a photographer's dream. It's a paradise for someone who likes to eat. It's a paradise like someone who loves nature. There's so many good qualities that you and things you can explore that I
Uh,
wouldn't prejudice.
you're convincing me that I need to be there. I need to come visit.
It's addictive. I mean, once you start, you don't know where to stop because you don't want to stop. So, I find it, I mean,
Good.
really
So
refreshing.
So, Carl, thank you for providing so much information on Indonesia. Again, I'm ready to go. I'm ready to go. There sounds like there's so much to see, and it almost even sounds with the different locations. There is almost a different, because the Bali culture, the different places have a different feel,
Mhm.
and it's exciting. So
One of the
go ahead, you're
I,
going to say something.
I'd like a last minute observation that people may not understand. Indonesia is the world's largest Muslim Islamic country, but people are maybe misled to think Indonesia is, purely Islamic in terms of what they do. Because if you go downtown, the Catholic Cathedral, the Salvation Army headquarters, you know, there are so many other denominations here that are welcome and accommodated in Indonesia with no animosity, I want to call it, between them together. I mean, to put it, I walked downtown and walked into a group of Mormons selling, you know, Mormonism in Indonesia,
Right,
in Band.
right,
The
right,
Mormons with their shirt and tie and everything.
right,
In Indonesia,
right.
good thing that is not acceptable, But the country is accommodating, friendly, safe, affordable. What more you want in
Nice.
life? you know?
So I have a scenario for you. You
Okay.
get on a plane,
Mhm.
you land in Jamaica. What is that first thing that you're doing?
Boy, I would hope I can find some of my old friends. I mean, not a lot of them are necessarily still there. Um, I would probably, try to get together with, friends that I've not seen and family I've not seen for a while. That would be very important for me because I don't know when and if I will see many of them. Some of them are, senior generation members. I definitely
Right.
would, be hanging out with my family, probably number one. One of my sisters still there, and my cousins and nephews and things like that. People I'm close with, So
Okay.
I would like to reacquaint that. I have some very good friends there that I would not overlook. I would definitely try to look up most, not all of them, if I can. So it would
Okay.
be getting back with my people, if you want to call it that.
All
Going
right.
back home.
And not no craving for specific food?
Jamaica. Oh my God! My favorite. There's a caveat to this though. My favorite food is my old-time stew peas. I'm a stew peas lover. But there are limitations associated with having stew peas here, and I've never ever found it here. You know what that is, right? Yeah.
Yes.
Ackee and
Trenton.
starfish and peas and the jerkers and things, but some of them those have limitations. you know, I have adjusted my eating habits,
Right.
and just to put a fine point here, coming to Indonesia has been beneficial for me health-wise because when I left and got to Indonesia, I had a blood clot problem and I was on medication and I had
Mm.
increased blood pressure problem. I was weighing 264 pounds when I landed in Indonesia, right, with about 128 kilograms. And my diet was ridiculous. I'm a lover of cheese. Big coffee drinker, which I should mention is a paradise in Indonesia. I can get as much on differential as I want. I was eating bread and butter and all sort of. Well, since I've been in Indonesia, my current weight as of yesterday was exactly 200 pounds, right?
Wow. Nice.
Pressure, my blood pressure is for the last year, well, I'd say the last 3 years, because when I got back to US in 2018 and went to the doctor in the company of, he said, what have you done to him? Because no blood pressure, no blood clot, lost the weight, perfect, almost perfectly healthy, not perfect, but
Right.
so
Good.
health. I've come off all the medication I had on for everything except one maintainer that I take a 10 milligram, and that's all thanks to being in Indonesia.
Nice.
So
Nice. Carl, here's how I typically end. I know you don't know the language, but you must have picked up on at least maybe this part. How do you say goodbye informally? The Indonesian people, how do they say goodbye?
The actual, that I can tell you because if they say Salamat Tinggal, right? It's goodbye. It's saying goodbye.
Say it
Salamat
again.
Tinggal, Ting, if I can spell it.
Okay.
Tinggal.
Salamante Tinggal.
Salamat Tinggal. Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you. And Salamate Tinggal.
No, Salamat Tinggal, nothing in between. Two words.
Salama
Tinggal.
Tinggal. Salama Tinggal.
Thank you.
Carl.
It means praise to God. Okay.
All right. Show some love now. Hit that like button, subscribe to our channel, and hit that notification bell. That way you don't miss a video.